Hey, Geekscape, it is ya boy, Matt. I am here once again to do a round of what won this week. Ooh, and I just saw that Eric Connor is in the house. I was mildly afraid that I screwed up because the email I sent everyone had tomorrow's date in it. So let's see who is all joining here, starting with the aforementioned Eric Connor back again.
You see, I even put my own initials there just in case you forgot who I was,
Perfect.
Matt.
Listen,
Thank you for having me.
I'll say one step further. I'm wearing a shirt with my own face on it.
Oh, dude. I mean, listen, I'm Jewish. I'll be proud to wear that.
Well, let's bring in someone who you and I have both podcasted with many times, Katie Hampton.
Yeah.
Hey, this week alone.
Yeah, back into the fold with Katie Hampton. And first time here on What Won This Week, the Jersey Ghouls' very own Marissa.
And you know what? I didn't wear a shirt with my face on it. Oh, cheers, man. Yeah, afternoon coffee. Can't survive that. I didn't get the memo. I thought it was like wearing the band that you're going to see. I didn't know how that role worked, but.
Well, yeah, Katie hosts the Pause podcast as
No,
well.
I'm wearing a New York Cubans shirt. I think that's pretty cool. But
I have a Katie Hampton T-shirt, but legally I was told not to wear it anymore outside.
No.
I will say my favorite shirt that Katie owns, and my favorite reason that she owns this shirt is whenever I see her wear it, is that she has a shirt of her co-host from Napping Through Happy Hour's face that she wears every time that they're at Comic-Con, and it never stops making me laugh that she's standing next to her best friend wearing a shirt that's just a giant picture of her best friend's face.
But also eating a burrito. She's like also eating a burrito. I'm kind of sad that I didn't wear that today. But this is actually a shirt that Marie got me.
Yeah, every single Comic-Con when you show up wearing that, it fills me with the exact same level as joy as the last time that I saw it. Like, it never stops dispensing joy, and that's what we're here to talk about, right? Things that brought us some joy. We're going to stick with pop culture stuff that people can relate to, but I will say beforehand, Katie, you and I think we can talk about this. Last night did a dress rehearsal of the new live stream show that we're bringing to Geekscape, Internet Supreme Court. And if the 55 minutes that we did of that dress rehearsal is even like a slight hint of what people will get to enjoy every Thursday night, I think we have a really fun comedy show lined up for people. So definitely set your alarms for Thursdays starting in March, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Probably an hour to an hour and a half each week, possibly longer, because boy, did we go on tangents. The dishonorable judges of the Internet Supreme Court will bring their presentations of memes that they think should either be deemed guilty or innocent. We'll watch old vintage commercials from the 80s and 90s and dissect them frame by frame. We're going to do it all. And
it's going to be really fun.
You join us.
Really cool.
But for real, the Bacon and Nate, it's just like, it's so great that we're
the two funniest human beings that I think I literally texted my friends and was like, we did a thing last night with 3 of the funniest people I know, and I got to be there too. So Marissa, I think as this being your first time, like, this is a big deal. It's the second episode. I think you should get to start.
Long-time fan, first-time caller.
Yes.
Oh my God.
What is the thing that won this week?
I'm in this room with like Geekscape royalty right now. So I'm a stan. I want to say to all of you, I am a little nervous. I'm just thrilled to be here.
Do not be nervous. It's really great to like actually meet you on camera.
For sure. I do all my best work on camera. So take that as you will.
Yeah.
I don't know if this first one is like okay. I hope it's okay. But my big celebration of this week was that today, of all days, was the Yankees spring opener for spring training and preseason for baseball.
Marissa,
so
if you watched last week's episode, you will have heard that we mostly talked about the Super Bowl for what
right.
won this
I figured I was on point with you guys.
You're totally safe with that. And listen, as like the resident, not the biggest sports guy
What?
at Geekscape, I will say that of all of
It's
the
a waste
different
of Philadelphia. You are a waste
it
of
is.
I
Philadelphia.
am a waste of I'm a waste of perfectly good Phillydom. You're right. That's so fair. Jackie needs to
But-
be here.
Matt,
But-
for shame.
No, Matt is not.
I
not
am,
Matt
I
is-
am.
No, you're
not
not.
New
No,
York,
dude,
no,
you
you're
weren't
not.
here.
Yeah.
No.
We don't know you
But-
well enough to razz you like that.
No. Next
afraid.
time. No, but
We'll
like
find
of all of the sports, the one that I most actively would go see live is baseball.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say badminton. So I'm really
No,
excited.
yes, badminton.
I lied.
No, because like baseball, not for nothing, like football,
Pickleball.
even watching like the Super Bowl, I'm constantly baffled by the rules of something like football or hockey.
That's
But
fair.
like baseball, it's very easy to follow for the most part. They hit the ball and they run. You know what
That's a
I
hot
mean?
take. Okay.
I mean, it's the only thing easier is maybe basketball in the sense of like they throw ball goes in circle, they get point. Like, like
You nailed it.
yeah,
Yeah, I think you're ready to
So-
coach. Honestly, the Sixers need to look no further for their next coach.
To be fair, it wouldn't be the worst choice they've ever made.
Yeah, this year. Oh.
I would love that prep talk. All right, guys, you
I
guys
think there
know
needs
the
to be a
rules.
sports
You
podcast
throw
now.
the
by
ball,
way.
you throw
Yeah,
the
go
ball, the
team.
ball go in the hole. We win. We win.
Yeah.
Like,
I just want to listen to you explaining sports for like 10
Yeah.
minutes straight.
I can't wait till you get yourself on a list for being a children's coach and being like, just put it in the hole. You'll be fine. Like, to me, it's gonna end really well for you, Matt.
well, let's jump back to yours for a second though. So beyond like the kickoff, like of this, like is that is baseball your sport, Marissa? Would you say?
No, I'm a women's sports gal. Like I'm a lacrosse and field hockey gal by heart, but unfortunately nobody pays us millions of dollars to do that crap. But yeah,
Ew.
womp womp. But I will say baseball is one of my favorite sports to watch live. I really am at a point where I'm like, are all professional sports just too icky and we need to like disavow them all? Yes, but will I do it? Probably not. I'm weak. And baseball to me equals spring, it equals summer, it equals relaxing. To me, watching it's funny you say that, Matt, because I think baseball is one of the most complex sports. It's like a chess game. And I just love the drama of it all. So yeah, yay, spring.
I mean, like, I guess my perspective is more like if you're just dropping somebody into the game to watch, like,
yeah.
you can understand why things happen. It's like,
That's fair.
okay, he hit the ball, he's allowed to run. That person tagged him with the ball, he's out. Like it's kind of the rules aren't as like nuanced as say a football where it's like, oh, well, if this person moves a millisecond before the other people move, then they lose yardage or something. Like it's
Matt, you're
Well,
my new favorite color commentator.
We need to hire him immediately for all sports.
The ball was hit by the bat,
The hole.
and it
The
went
hole.
someplace away from the bat.
Listen, Eric, we can work on this. Here's what we can do for future episodes if you want. You can start sending me a sports highlight and we will
Yes.
watch it on mute and I will walk through what I think is happening in that
God,
sports
we,
highlight.
we
Done.
Yes,
Next
okay.
week.
That might need to be
ESPN
at least like a section of what won the week, and it's just Matt explaining sports.
sports.
ESPM. M is for Matt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love that.
That's the
Very
name of the
easy to make that
segment.
graphic.
I think he could get a job on the Ocho like tomorrow,
Yeah.
which is my favorite ESPN, ironically.
I do love when the Osho shows up
Maybe
for
the
like
Quattro.
random points of time. Well, that's I love that. You know what? That's a great step off from where we were last week. A little bit more sports talk. Let's just go around the squares, I guess. So going to Eric. Eric, what is the thing that you think won this week?
Wait, am I allowed to ask Marissa a follow-up question?
Yes,
Ooh,
please.
please do.
Listen,
Okay.
follow-up questions galore, please.
So Marissa, what part? You're in Jersey, Southern or Northern?
So I am in Southern Jersey. I am in Philly territory, but I grew
Yes,
up
you are.
in North Jersey. So I actually I come from a Mets family, so I've basically become the family villain. So what are you gonna
It's
do?
a good
Yeah.
role. I play that in my own family and so I grew up in Delaware, which is also Philly territory, as I know you know. And in fact, one of my favorite questions to ask, I teach out here at a film school, and then I'll ask students, where is Delaware? And it's not just about, because I have a lot of international students, and it's kind of unfair to ask them, but no, I'll ask students from like Connecticut? Where is Delaware? They don't know. And I would take it personally, but I realized no one knows because it doesn't even fit. The name doesn't fit in the state on the map. It just is like a little arrow, and
Yeah,
it
you
says
gotta put the
DE.
little.
Right, it's in the Atlantic. It's basically right there. It's like a barge, And so for me, I very similar Mets fan in Philly territory,
Nice.
Eagles fan in Eagles territory.
Okay.
But then two Philly teams. So we talked about this last week. The idea of being the villain. It's kind of fun.
It is. There's something a little delicious about it. I mean, I hope you're enjoying Barkley, and enjoy Soto too. Just keep stealing from all of our. But
that's all they know how to do. They don't know how to grow, so they know how to take.
Well, the Yankees don't either.
But this is a good segue, by the way. Growing and taking.
Good segue. Yeah, that's
Yellow Katie, are you
Yellow
enjoying
jacket.
my segment of just sitting here quietly while they talk?
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No,
Yes, I can
be
wax on
sorry.
about Yellow.
Yeah, don't be
No,
sorry. This
don't
is
be
for
sorry.
everybody.
This is a niche that both Matt and I are so like. I would rather play a sport than watch a sport, personally speaking, just because it's just like I don't. It's like I don't understand it unless I'm like actively in it, and then I'm like, okay, what's my stage blocking? But
Where's my light?
Yeah, where's my light? But
like,
they work under these conditions.
This is the kind of stuff that I feel like Geekscapists don't get specifically from Matt and I.
No, specifically not. Katie, I feel like you're probably similar to me as well, where I don't agree with you on that one. I would probably rather watch than play because snacks. But
that is why I enjoy the Super Bowl, is because snacks.
But if we're going to take playing off of the table and the options were like fictionalized retelling of a great historical sports moment, documentary about sports moment, or just watching real sports live. Like real sports live is the bottom of the list for sure, right? Like, because I love a good sports doc. I get sucked into like a Moneyball or like any of that stuff.
Oh, a sports movie is great. Yeah.
Dude, 30 for 30 is amazing if you guys ever get bored. Like,
okay.
It's an ESPN documentary. Yeah. And like, it'll be a topic that I'm like, there's no way this is good. It'll be like the 1938 croquet champion. And I'll be like, I'm not into that. And then 20 minutes in, I'm like sobbing.
I'm
like,
very into that.
Solid storytelling.
I would say it's hit or miss, but even Netflix is untold, depending on what the episode is that they're tackling, is phenomenal. And like that one's focus is way more like, hey, you may have heard about this moment in sports from the 70s, 80s, or 90s, but like let's put this under a lens and talk about what's really happening. And the one that I always tell people to watch, because I think it's the best of all those, and Eric, you've been nodding, so I assume you've watched most of the Untolds, is I can't remember what the event is called, but it's when the basketball players basically beat up the audience members.
I know it. Yep.
Yeah, what was that called?
Malice at the Palace.
The Malice at the Palace.
Indiana against Detroit. Ron Artest went into the stands basically and
started beating up somebody. And but it goes through the lens of like when this happened, it was depicted as like, look at these overplayed like monsters that are beating the shit out of just a regular ticket paying good person. And then it like dives deeper into like homeboy threw a glass bottle into the middle of the court and like sliced the legs of many of the players, and they were just, and security wasn't removing the guy, so they were just like,
they're so soft in hockey. That's like a hug. Soft.
Love that.
If you have all your teeth at the end of a hockey game, you haven't played.
That was the most Jersey Marissa has ever sounded by saying soft with the W.
Yeah.
Welcome. That's what I do.
No. Once you get over and you enter the turnpike, you never want to be known as soft. Drive hard, eat hard, drink hard.
Die hard.
Listen,
live hard, die hard.
Unfortunately, the people behind this particular tag team turned out to be very bad people. But there was very briefly a WWE tag team called Enzo and Cass. And their whole thing was that they were two Italian dudes from South Jersey, and they just called everything soft. And they
oh my gosh, could be my memoir. That's amazing. Not the bad part.
Everything is soft. About to say, if that was my autobiography, there's a whole other thing that happens there. I wouldn't be a parent, I guess. Yeah, Matt, you've probably checked this out, but Dark Side of the Ring has been an incredible documentary series. And even Katie, I don't think you're into wrestling, but
no, I almost was a wrestler.
I was going to say she almost was a wrestler, but she's not that into wrestling.
Can we do a very special
like a professional wrestler, or like a college?
Like a gorgeous ladies of wrestling.
It was
reboot.
like a
Glow?
it was the Women of Wrestling, so it was WoW. So it was the guys who created the original Glow, but then changed it to WoW. But I auditioned here in Hollywood for it, and I even got to the callbacks where I went down to Pasadena for getting in the ring, and they asked me point blank, what would your wrestling name be? And I gave them two options because improviser just came to the top of my head. The first one I said was, I don't know, Bipolar Bear, and which, by the way, I'm not bipolar. It's just like it was the first thing that
Trust
came
me,
up.
that's not the. I don't want to spoil the story yet, but that's not the best name she offered to them. So.
No, the second one I gave them was Beast Infection.
You were at roller derby?
Oh my god.
Yeah, so like a lot of people
Katie, you're sure you're not from Jersey?
I feel like my family mostly is like, it's just
And they still didn't hire you.
They did, but then they asked me at the callback to change the names, and I was like, oh, okay. I can't remember. I was like, oh, the Joker. Oh no, that's taken. So I don't even remember what I came up with at that point, because it was not as good as Beast Infection and Bipolar Bear. I was thinking like I could be like half and half, like, like one color on this side, another on that
like
side.
A teddy bear on the other side?
Mixed personalities.
Geekscape needs a wrestling league. I think this is what we're learning here.
That's the most logical next step for all of this.
And you know what?
Even if it's just promos.
Yeah, it's only promos.
Have her
There's
day.
never a match.
Come on!
It's just a series of characters cutting promos for an event that never happened.
Honestly, maybe that'd be good for like promoting the Paul London comic book.
That's true.
Oh my god!
I gotta hit up Jonathan. Hey, next time we do a Kickstarter, here's an idea.
Let me tell you something. Next Wednesday at Arby's, I'm gonna cure the Beast Infection.
So, Katie, I gotta track these down and send it to you. It is one of the finest things that the WWE has ever produced, which is shocking because it was under Vince McMahon era. But one time, a group of I would say 10 or 15 wrestlers, this is almost 10 years ago, got really bored, and they shot a web series starring John Cena as the commentator. And the concept was that it was a fictional small town 80s wrestling corporation that crumbled. And it was like someone had found the VHS tape of one of their old episodes. And it was exactly what Eric's describing. You never saw a match. It was just like promo after promo setting up matches for this big event. And then at the end of this 45-minute video, it says unfortunately, this company ran out of money the next day and were never able to hold the event. But it was it was so pitch perfect to what 80s wrestling was, where it was the character named the Billionaire, and it was just a guy in a suit with a big mustache. And he's like, oh, you thought you were wrestling the Billionaire? You're incorrect. You're wrestling my newest friend, the Sea Monster. And then it was just a guy walking out dressed as a sea monster.
Yes.
Yes. It was so good.
I feel like if nothing else, we need to do these ads for Internet Supreme Court. Just putting that 100%. Out there.
But John Cena, this was the beginning of me being like, oh, John Cena's very funny, because he played the color commentator host of this weekly show, very, very stiff and sincere in a plaid tuxedo, interviewing all of these wrestlers with complete sincerity. Like,
I'm so sorry, Matt, but I just have to comment.
Oh,
on
Eric's dog just wanting to be part of the show.
No, my favorite is that Eric's dog will bark only when he unmutes.
He knows. He see that red light when it's on. That's basically. It's like, oh, it's my time to bark. My time to shine. Yeah,
this is such a good idea, though.
And I went to the quiet part of the house. I separated the
Yeah,
dogs.
you're in your wife's like office right now.
Yes, I am. This is my wife's space. Yeah, my space. There would be so much more sports and wrestling stuff floating around. So, yeah, this is.
You haven't been able to put something up into the camera.
Well, fine then. If you would, don't test me, woman. But well, I mean, I would say if Jonathan was cool with this, I feel like this is a perfect kind of marketing thing. Is like you get everyone in Geekscape to do their own little wrestling promo.
Yeah.
Create their character, threaten another Geekscaper, basically, and or threaten Paul.
Beast infection, you're going to.
Yeah. No, here's the pitch. Here's the pitch, and I'll have to text John about it because there's no world where John's watching this. So we have...
Wait, the boss isn't watching? It's
First 215 in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah, but what we need it to be is as many Geekscapists as possible shooting home promos.
Yes.
And then Paul cutting a promo and like disappearing in the middle of it as if it's like a prelude to the start of the comic where he gets zapped to another
Yeah.
promo.
Oh, that's great.
And everyone's got to be in a dodgy location.
Yeah,
Like, it can't just be like, I wouldn't be in my wife's little office space here or even mine. I'd be in an alley, you know?
Yeah, how much dodgier can you get than just any home in New Jersey?
What's it, the Molly Pritchard rest stop? I think
Hey, that's a classy one, all right? Yeah. Frank Sinatra loves the sketch one, all right?
All
I'm
right.
Well, on the Jersey Devil, and I want to dress like the kid in Problem Child, where he just paints his body red.
Yes, please.
I mean, cape, a little cape, a cloud.
It dawns on me that Eric still hasn't even said what.
I know.
Was
This,
one
what am I going to do? Stop the
too.
magic?
I mean, the magic is happening. But Eric, what has happened this week that you feel like was the big win?
The last 20 minutes is the big win of this week, I would argue. This is much unbridled joy. I haven't even thought about what's going on outside this house, outside this state. So no, this is the best elixir there is. This, and speaking of beast infections, of course, the wonderful women of Yellow Jackets.
Oh yeah,
but it speaks to a larger thing. So Yellow Jackets current season. I don't know how much more they're going to get out of this premise, I will say. But I love that cast so much. And they've done such a brilliant job of casting actresses younger and older that truly seem like they are the same human.
Yes.
In ways that I just was like stunned, that they're able, like Lauren Ambrose and her younger actress, like there's a picture of them together.
It's insane.
Right. It looks almost like photoshopped. Like,
So
and to think too, like Lauren Ambrose when she was on 6 Feet Under,
that's what it is.
Age.
The girl that they cast looks like her 10 years ago, 10,
Completely.
20 years ago. It's unbelievable.
And the show, I think it's also to this idea, we've talked about this in other shows, like the notion of like, right now DEI it's under attack, under assault. And the notion how the word woke has coded with all this nastiness that just absurd. And so this idea of like, okay, here's a show that passes the Bechdel test every effing scene. And there's so few guys in that show. And when they show up, I'm like, get them off the screen. Like, I've got no use for the men. Their coach, I guess, is interesting. He's got if I can quote, Jerry Maguire, he's got one leg, but he's still kicking it. Yeah. And so he's like an interesting character, but in the end of it all, it's just like this idea that it's like trusting that you put interesting characters there, people will come. And I don't know how much longer it's going to go. We'll see, but it speaks to
5 seasons, and that feels a bit too long. Like
I feel like 4. And then
if this was a tight 3-season show, I'd be like, this is going to go down in history as one of the greats. Yeah. I think it's going to be. I love the show. I loyally watch it each week. but I feel like it's going to be one of those shows that's looked at as like, what a stellar first season, and then it was like slowly declining with each season
Oh,
past
sure.
that.
Well,
Fair
and
enough.
the pilot is one of the great pilots, even though it's kind of really the first 2 episodes to me feels like the pilot, but
Yeah.
it's so perfectly put together, so much planted, makes you want to watch more, but the acting is awesome. And one thing I had sent to you guys was really, it was just also the past couple weeks, seeing kind of women at the forefront of all these different corners of entertainment. I mentioned, like, it was a couple weeks ago, but Fire Aid, still kicking it with one leg on the internet. You can watch all of the different guest singers Nirvana had.
Yeah.
And with all due peace and love to Post Malone, who really did an amazing job covering Nirvana during COVID. Watching, Joan Jett and Kim Gordon, and St. Vincent was Annie Clark, and then Violet Grohl. And it's like, holy crap. It also makes you appreciate how great Kurt Cobain was. It's like you need, the women to hit those notes that he would somehow hit with that voice of his. And then the other one was Cynthia Erivo is going to be doing Jesus Christ in
Super
JCS at the Bowl, which
So exciting. Yeah.
have to see that. I mean, she was wicked. Like, she set a level high bar for acting that with the due respect to the rest of the cast, are pretty darn good. She's just,
She's incredible. Yeah.
she's Andre the
Agreed.
Giant wrestling 2 little dudes in the ring as an actress and as a singer. She's just, her voice is so powerful. So that's my what's working and what's winning.
All right. And
Is it wrong that I'm sorry?
Go ahead. I have nothing.
Is
I
it
don't
wrong
know
that
what-
I'll also be really excited that it'll piss people off, because that's a bonus. That brings
Oh,
me
and it
joy.
already
yeah.
has
All the
Podcast.
more
which is
reason.
nice.
Podcast.
1, 2. She's black and a female. It's like, oh my God. I can't wait to see the protesters out there. And I will take selfies with every one of them.
Yeah.
Cynthia fan. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Because Hollywood Boulevard, it's definitely gonna go down.
Oh, well, they come out for the shows. So, like, you always will find that at whenever there's like these bigger performances, like there's just the protesters that they only go to this. They don't live anywhere near Hollywood. They come in from the dregs of LA, and then they go back to the sea from which they were born afterwards. So
True.
Well, let's move over to a person who has performed on the stage with Eric this past week. Katie Hampton,
What?
tell
near
us.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Near Hollywood Boulevard.
Wow, that's awesome, y'all.
Tell us what was winning for you this week.
What was winning for me is the guy right below me in the square is Eric Connor. Won the week for me because he came out and he was the monologist. So there is a thing in improv. It's a format called the Armando. And basically what happens is that there's a suggestion from the audience, and then the person who gets the suggestion starts to think of stories in their life, true stories, anything that's like something that comes to mind, or you kind of like go and bunny hop into like the next topic, and then you come up with stories. And so as you're telling the stories, the improvisers on stage are listening. Sometimes we ask questions, sometimes we don't. And then we'll do a full long form improv on that monologue. Famously done by Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, a bunch of stuff in the show called Ass Cat, very UCB format. It's really fun, and we've been having some really great guests the last couple of weeks, and Eric came out this last Tuesday and told some really fun stories. The first one you told was like about Toronto, Canada, and your experience with like Scientologists and stuff, and we had some really fun running bits that were going on. But like, it was one of those things that even on Tuesday, it was like, we just need to have fun. Like, just like, I can't listen to any more news or whatever. And Eric, you came on stage and you told some really fun stories. One of which towards the end of the show, Eric came up and started telling a story about his son having a bris in a restaurant. And I didn't say it at the time. We did the show. It was very fun. But at the very end of the show, I was like, where was this restaurant? Because I think I worked there. And I did. I had. It was a couple. I had worked there a couple years later, but yeah, that is like one of my big grand stories. Is that I used to work for a Hasidic restaurant, and once got kicked out of my shift because I brought in coffee with milk in it. So
wow, that's like, so they were like legit.
they were like hardcore. Yeah, no, they were legit.
How did they know it was milk? Did you own it?
It was actually in a very enclosed mug, and it was it was one of my tumbler mugs, so like you could lock it in case it like actually tumbles. And he was like, "What's in that?" And I was like, "Oh, my boss Yakov, who I think Eric has met before." And I was like, "Oh, it's just coffee and a little bit of creamer," and he was like, "You gotta go." Yeah, like to the point where I would be introduced as a server to different members of the community, and the men would not talk to me.
Cool. Yeah. I was hoping you had this at a Chili's, but I mean, I'll take the other restaurant.
No, but it was like it's such an interesting. It was an interesting restaurant because they had a bakery on the left, and then they had a whole dining room area on the right. And Eric, you told the story about how they didn't do the bris in the big dining room area, which they usually used to do.
Right. Or even there was a side room.
There was.
Like, that's where I assumed it would be. That was like a place where you could have like, I don't know, like a meeting area while you're eating that had doors that, like, let's say you didn't come in to order a nice piece of roast beef or corned beef. You don't need to see a nice piece of Alex Connor's chotch, you know, right next to the cash register. Right,
Katie? Right there in the bakery?
Yeah. Like the to-go area. And like there was all these places in the restaurant that I would assume they would put us there. And we had a big group. We were delirious. We were like, you know, new parents. We just moved. Nothing made sense. And then they have it front and center.
Right at the
like you got to put a 5 in that chip jar, right? You can't go.
Right.
Yeah, no, right. Hazard
like,
pay.
Maybe.
That's insane.
That's wild, dude.
No, and that restaurant was insane in and of itself.
Yeah.
They were not the greatest restaurants, and nor the cleanest, though. I mean,
sounds like a perfectly sterile place for a bread.
You know, but Katie, I don't know if you remember that. I think the guy we had, there's only a few. They're known as moils. You know, the ones who do the actual surgery.
Yeah.
I think he might have been the one that had L.A. Moyle as his license plate.
Oh my God! Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
And now that's another song we could do to the tune of L.A. Woman. Maybe that's our new thing. Tip jar. That was Matthew. Do you have a bell?
I don't. Hold on a second.
Nicely done.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm gonna somehow bounce off of that. But you were talking about sketch comedy and improv.
Yes.
You know what? It's had its ups and downs for 50 years, but we celebrated 50 years of SNL this past weekend. And I actually weirdly am taking the stance of not celebrating the anniversary show, which I think was mostly overlong and felt like Stockholm syndrome at a certain point. But I want to celebrate the homecoming concert that gave us some like amazing performances. It started rough, folks. Like it started with Jimmy Fallon doing the Blues Brothers. It started with like one of the least great Molly Cyrus performances I've seen in a while.
Which is saying something,
yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
And like I love that she was like trying to like
get this crowd of rich people to do something. Yeah.
She did her best.
And we got one of the least funny Bill Murray things I've seen in my entire life. Like it was the first half hour, I was like, this is gonna be a long 3 hours.
And that's the only thing I saw.
Yeah, that's all you've seen.
You tapped out.
Stopped just as it was about to get fantastic, because then we got like the B-52s with Fred Armisen on drums and Bowen Yang and Sarah Sherman doing the backup vocals. We got Devo up there. We got like Post Malone fronting Nirvana for a bit. But the highlight, the thing that brought me the most joy, the one thing that I've gone to revisit time and time again was two characters that I completely forgot my undying love for, which is Anna Gasteyer and Will Ferrell playing Bobby and Marty Culp, the like elderly music teachers from the 90s. And what I found out from a friend of most of ours, Joe Farron, is all of those sketches are basically gone because it's such a high copyright for all of the songs that they would sing in the mashup that when all of those mid 90s SNL shows got brought into Peacock, those sketches are all cut because Peacock wasn't going to pay for all of these music rights and song rights. And I watched a video recently about Loverboy and the song Working for the Weekend and like the infamous Chris Farley Chippendales sketch. And they brought up something that I never thought about, which is like a show like SNL that has such a quick turnover basically acts in this weird like ask for forgiveness instead of permission when it comes to songs. They don't have the time to go through all of the proper channels in 3 to 5 days to get the permission. So they just go forward with the song and then they'll like pay the royalties after the fact because like it's such a long process of getting all of
Loverboy should have been tickled pink that their song.
Oh, he
was a band like
no,
that
he was
somehow,
not complaining, but he was saying like the story was like we had just finished a show. I was in my hotel room. I had Saturday Night Live on, and all of a sudden I heard my song coming from the TV. And he's like, and it was great. Like, he's like, it was hilarious. It like boosted our sales. It did like all this positive stuff. He's like, that was when I found out. And like, it makes sense. Like you can't, if you're writing a show and you start writing it on Monday and you have to have it live by Saturday, like you're going to get bogged
those
down.
Sketches are like refined on Friday.
Yeah. Oh, 100. And I think that was some of the stuff that I like. They did a segment, or this was in the music documentary they did, but they talk about Lonely Island where like, I think it was Dick in a Box specifically. Like Andy Samberg was like, Kiever was up editing that video and literally handed the final cut to them about 15 minutes before it went live. Like they had to trust that it wasn't going to get them in trouble because they didn't even have the turnaround time was so quick that they didn't even have the time for like standards and practices to double check what was about to go across the airwaves.
It's a what in a box? Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
something in a box. We'll fill that in later.
They just have presents right near their genitals with no hands.
No hands, you're fine. But yeah, seeing them do their bit, and it's just like I was sitting there thinking of all of the characters from the 90s. Like the 90s was when the SNL movie boom truly happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like you look at the time frame between say like Blues Brothers and the next one being Wayne's World.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a 12-year gap. But then it's like Wayne's World, Coneheads, Wayne's World 2.
Yeah, like Pat.
And it's Pat. Like they just started jamming all of these 90s characters into as many things as possible. And I'm watching it being like, I think I would have wanted a movie about these two characters more than say Stuart Saves His Family or the Roxbury guys. And like, I am unapologetically a fan of Night at the Roxbury, but like, what do you have to work off of from that sketch for like a storyline besides two guys who go clubbing? Like,
that's all you need.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, and so you brought up Loverboy. I do feel like I have to jump on that for 1 sec. So, Loverboy was supposed to perform here. We have a place in Burbank called the Starlight Bowl. It's kind of like a mini, well, it's more like the Greek, like a smaller version of the Greek theater. And Loverboy was supposed to play here, and that was COVID summer. And and I have to admit, I'm I know the top two of you know, but I'm Marissa. I'm on this Burbank Cultural Arts Commission, and I was sort of angling like I want to be the person that announces Loverboy on the stage.
Yeah,
I didn't realize it was on my bucket list until I realized it could be.
Yeah,
and
That's so fair.
And if I had to wear red leather pants, I would do it.
Yeah,
I chafe easily. I don't feel like that's sharing too much. It's also the title of my autobiography. Too soft, I chafe easily. And so I was and then COVID shut down the season, of course, for the summer. And they ever since then have only been doing cover acts. But once a year, I remind the team that runs that place. I go, Loverboy still hasn't been back. I think we need them back. I think they've gotten bigger than ever.
Yeah.
And they go, what makes you say that? I'm like, nothing at all, except I want it to be. I
Yeah.
want to live in the world where
Really build
Loverboy
up
is
these
as
days,
important as
yeah.
Taylor Swift. And
Yeah.
so dreams of all dreams. And I would not do the Chris Farley dance. I have too much respect for them as artists. But if allowed,
Me
if they
too.
do, they make red leather pants in my size, I'm doing it.
All right. You know what,
Yeah.
Eric? You've given me. I think we're gonna do as our sign off to this show because we're still evolving this show week to week.
Sure.
I think as our sign off, we'll do a quick speed round of a topic question, and you've inspired the topic question
Scared.
just now. And I think the topic question is.
Yes, I own leather pants. Oh no!
Oh,
wait,
damn it! No.
No,
I'm
I'm sorry.
I'm
And
gonna
yes, I
call
do
this.
chafe easily.
I'm gonna call this reasonably achievable big dreams. So like announcing Loverboy on stage feels like a reasonably achievable big dream. Since I came up with this and I know that other people need some time to think about it.
Nope.
One of them that I had and it came to me 2 weeks ago. I want to somehow be part of the Puppy Bowl one year. just as a ref or a commentator or something.
What
That's
if you sell them
adorable.
steroids? What if you're the shady dealer?
Right.
Shady dealer.
Drugs the dogs.
Giving them performance enhancing drugs
Yeah.
to
PEDs.
do better.
Yeah. That's a very wholesome Matt Kelly goal too.
Katie,
I
it sounds
it.
like you had one locked and loaded.
Yeah, man. I was actually just talking to another co-host, James Thorpe from the Geekscape Network, who does Monster Rally, I believe.
Yep, Monster Rally podcast. Yep.
Yeah, we were just we were sharing Dropout memes with each other, and I was saying how much I love everybody at Dropout because a lot of them used to coach me at UCB. And I would love to be on Make Some Noise or Very Important People with Vic Michaelis. If you haven't seen any of the stuff that Dropout's putting out, I have a login. They encourage people to share their logins so that you can see more content. I will give it to you if you'd like. They're a wonderful group of people and really great comedians that I'm just like, I would love to be on any of those shows at some point.
Very cool.
Eric is announcing Loverboy.
Oh, I think I want to hear Marissa's.
That's
Is it about-
yours. That's really cool. Yeah. I think I'd like to, if we can, I think this is reasonable. Rent a full-on cage, have a wrestling cage match with all of Geekscape, but we all have to get very intoxicated beforehand. If there's a Jello or pudding pit in the middle, I wouldn't turn it down. I think pudding would be more fun than Jello. I'm more of a pudding gal myself. And I think we all come in costumes. We all go out to LA. I'm not above going out to the West Coast for this. I think this is more of a West Coast thing. And we have a cage match, all of us. Last person standing gets Geekscape. Like it becomes theirs. Like, I think Jonathan would agree.
King of the Ring.
Would Jonathan agree to that? I think he would.
I'll pitch it to him.
And I gotta tell you, so far we've got 2 competitors right here in this call. I think maybe 4, but I think this could work.
I'm willing to fight for Geekscape.
It's my dream. Yeah. I mean, I have a dream, so
Could I
Make
do
that
more
happen
like
for
the
me, Matt.
Captain Lou Albano that just
Yeah,
sort
you're
of
just
hangs out on the side?
managing
Yeah,
somebody?
mandatory theme songs too. Like you know how
Oh, yeah.
that record came out in the 80s with like the Captain Lou song and the Hulk song. Like I'm gonna have a theme song, y'all. I'm gonna get off and write it immediately. Yeah.
Cannot wait to see what the Jersey Devil brings.
I just because you brought this up, and I cannot believe that this didn't come up last week or this week. But if we're talking about Geekscape tied things that bring me joy, shout out to Geekscape host Megaran of the Matt Mania and the X-Pod 97 podcast for being the composer of the New Day's entrance music in the WWE and like sealing a deal of writing more songs for wrestling in his future. Like huge deal. So
Listen, I got like $5 and a vat of pudding if he's willing to write my song.
does he get the pudding before or after we've wrestled in it?
Whatever he's into.
I feel like Marissa just took the $5 out of Eric's tip jar.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man. Well, thank you everybody for giving us another reason to smile for just 45 minutes to an hour. We'll be back next Friday, same time. Hopefully the same amount of faces, maybe even some more faces, to talk about the things that continue to bring us joy. See everybody next week.
Bye.